just to start off with a general question, when people hear investment, definitely the idea is I need to have a lot of money. How exactly do you deal with that as experts? I'll start off with the only gentleman on stage.
Okay, thank you. I like saying that investment is not for a few elite citizens. Investment is a necessary survival skill. Just like when you dive into a swimming pool, you need to know how to swim. In this journey of life, you need to have investment skills so that you can get to do what you love to do every single day of the year. So the real question is, how do you grow from where you are to that ultimate journey of getting to do what you love to do every single day of the year? Thank you.
Thanks. I think something that's come up today quite a bit is the term money market fund. And money market funds are a clear way to demonstrate that you don't need to have a lot of money to start investing. You can start investing from as little as 5,000 shillings. So I think there are products out there that you can start getting into regardless of how much money you have. I think the second thing to note is that knowledge is important. If you don't know, you can't do. And I think the third thing is when you share success stories of people who have started from very minimal means, a lot of people resonate with that and then aspire to be able to do the same thing.
Right. Now, Alia, I'd like to come back to you. You lead a product, a unique product, yeah? A unique money market fund product that seems to focus on the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. So how exactly do you ensure that this group of people understand their investment goals and start actually investing? Or how do you ensure that it makes sense to them, make it make sense?
All right. Look, financial terms can be very complex. And so when you're relating to that sort of demographic, you have to use simple language. So simplicity is key. Relate the product to their everyday needs. So what is it that they're trying to achieve? Relate it to their personal life, and that's how you're going to relate to them. I think the third thing is trust. When you have a brand like Safaricom that goes out with a product like that, there's a lot of trust behind it. And it also means that we have to live up to that reputation and be able to serve them as we say we're going to serve them. So I think those three things have been really critical for us to be able to deliver that product.
We start off with investment. When someone thinks investment, when someone is being spoken to about investment, you immediately think you need to put in a lot of money. And then at the end of the day, how do you convince someone who's at the bottom of the pyramid? Because we're not the only ones. I mean, we're fortunate enough to be in this room, and we're here to learn about how best you can invest your money. But once you walk out this door, there are other people who are not at the same level as you are. So what type of conversation can you give the audience, or what information can you give them so that they can also transfer this information to the others out there who might not be on the same level?
All right, and good evening, everybody. I think the one thing that I would tell anyone who is starting is that the power is in the consistency. It's not in starting big, it's in the consistency. It is the discipline of saving and investing. And what do I mean? You've got to give up today's consumption to build your investment pot. If you don't give up consumption today, it means that you will not build your investment pot. So you look at the income you're making, whether it's little, whether it's a lot, you must postpone gratifying today's wants. So you deal with your budget and you allocate whatever amount it is towards your investment, and you do it in the most prudent way so that you also don't lose that which you have already sacrificed. Unfortunately, in Kenya, we encounter people who are giving up consumption today, but they end up in the wrong vehicle. So you need to avoid those pitfalls so that you make better decisions, and that's why you have fund managers to help you make those better decisions, give you better vehicles that can actually help you reach the wealth goal that you had. But don't delay starting, because time is your biggest investment and you're the biggest resource by yourself.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, the next question is not necessarily about the different classes we have in life. It's about this. No matter how much you earn, there's an individual that actually ends up, you get your salary, you pay your bills, you do whatever you need to do, and the only thing you remain is, let's say it's 1,000 shillings. Let's take it as low as 1,000 shillings. How exactly, this person is appreciating 1,000 shillings per month. So how do you allow them, or how do you advise that they start appreciating investing? Because if you're remaining with maybe your thou, what exactly are you going to do about it? Ni pesa ndogo, according to very many people. Where do you start?
In the world of investing, there is no small money and there is no big money. By the way, for your information, I know a lot of billionaires who are broke. They're asset rich, they're cash poor. They're struggling with basic things. They're struggling to pay debts. They're struggling to do the normal things that all of us, we think they're done with that part. So investment is not about how much you earn. It's about what you do with what you have. There's an example I like, there's a question I like asking. If I give you two options, I give you a cent that doubles every day for 31 days, or I give you 1,000,000 shillings and you walk away, which one would you pick? Most people tend to pick the 1 million. The reason is because you cannot imagine that 0.01 shilling will be more than 1,000,000 by the 31st day. But guess how much it will be on the 31st day? It will be 21.4 million shillings. So by picking 1 million shillings, you've left money on the table. And this is the power of what we have. The question is, what do you have? If you have 1,000 shilling and you save that 1,000 shilling, or 10% of that, then you'll be able to do the same when you have 1,000,000. You'll be able to do the same when you have 500,000. You'll be able to do the same when you have 1 billion. But if you don't have the discipline of saving, investing, multiplying, generating, putting together a portfolio that generates a consistent stream of cash flows, when you have 1,000 shillings, you'll never be able to do that with 1,000,000, because your expenses will always match or outmatch your revenues. So there is no small money and there's no big money, and that's why we, as an industry, we have increasingly reduced our minimums. Today, we have a product called Chums that allows people to invest as little as 5 shillings through the mobile. And you start earning immediately without having to call any bank or negotiate for any interest. So it's about respecting the shilling. It's about respecting the dollar. When you respect money, it will respect you and it will come back to you. Thank you.
So I think I echo with everything that Pius has said. You have to start small. There's no known amount that you can say that is not enough to start with. The 1 shilling, don't we tell our children, even the 1 shilling that you get, put it in your piggy bank. So it's the same concept. Start with as little as you have. The effect of compounding is so important. Let it sit there, let it invest, it gets reinvested. By the end of it, that's when you're going to get your 21 million.
All right, just to add, I think on the question about salary, our incomes, we tend to spend before we save, but I think the general clarion call should be always to don't save after spending, spend after saving, so that you make it really automated. And I say this with a lot of humility because I know that it's tough. Sometimes we look at what you have earned and you can't see what you should be able to save. But I can tell you, if you budget well, again, there are tools that can help you to do that, and you automate your savings, you can actually save yourself from your own spending habits. So we encourage you to automate your savings so that you don't have to think every month that you're saving. You make it automated, you make it unconscious, and you'd actually be surprised how much you can be able to do, because you have removed the decision making, which many times the things that are competing for that money are very, very many. So automate and then save before spending.
All right. My last question. I'm going to ask you my last question to all the panelists, and then I'm going to allow our audience to kindly speak to us if any of you has a question. So my question is this: when it comes to matters cashing out, you've saved, you've done your investment, and now you want to cash out. When is the last time to cash out? Because you also want to enjoy your money at some point. People always ask that question: at what point do you cash out, and how do you cash out responsibly?
Yeah. When do you cash out, and how do you cash out responsibly? Remember, investment does not begin with a mathematical computation. Investment journey begins with a purpose. I am 60 years old, the new youth. I want to retire. By the time I'm 70, I want to be able to do the things that I love doing without having to work for bills and everything else. So that journey needs to start with a plan. And that's why it's so important for the investment journey, for everyone to walk the investment journey with a consultant, a wealth advisor, just someone who's an expert in this field. Okay? What that does, it helps you to define an end point. You say, when I get my value, my portfolio value to be 5 million, to be 1 million, to be 10 million, to be 100 million, we all have different goals. That will be enough to fund my living expenses, and that money will be coming into my bank account without me having to wake up and go to work necessarily to pay for bills. So the right time to cash out is when you achieve your goal, your purpose, which you set out. How do you do that responsibly? You do that by cashing out the fruits, the profits that are coming out without touching the principal. So if you needed 1 million or 5 million to get there, that 5 million remains your asset. And what comes out of it is what you always cash out. And that's how you cash out responsibly. So again, the same thing as retirement. You have worked so hard, you get to 65, and then you cash out, and you go start a business. Is that cashing out responsibly? That is a question that was left on the floor here. Thank you.
I think there's only two things I'd add on top of what he said is, so why are you cashing out? Are you following the crowd? Or are you tapping into these funds because of an emergency? So is it prudent to then have an emergency fund set up to cushion you so that you're not cashing out at a time when the market is probably not in your favor? So two things there: don't follow the crowd. Always have an emergency fund that you can tap into so that you are cashing out responsibly.
I wonder whether there's anything else to add, because that's the truth. But again, knowledge, so that how do you know this is the best time to cash out in a market? So you need to empower yourself. You can't be an investor who is ignorant. So you need to really empower yourself so that you understand your investment products very well, so that you know which one works in which seasons, because the seasons have become very, very volatile. And There are good seasons for cashing out certain assets. There are bad seasons for cashing out other assets. So just get to understand, because it's not one size fits all. And I'll give you an example. There's a time property you could flip it almost in a night. You buy and you flip, and it was in Kenya, and you make money. Would you do that today? I can tell you absolutely not, because the environment is now totally different. So when you look at the environment and you understand the dynamics of the investment environment you are in, then you'll be able to make good cash out decisions from your portfolio. And then the last one that I'll talk about is being able to see the whole and not parts of your portfolio. So look at the whole of your portfolio and see that it is actually diversified. It doesn't consist of Malili, Malindi, Kamulu, Malindi. That's not a portfolio. You need a healthy portfolio with different asset classes, and that way it will serve you better, and you won't feel the stress of being overly exposed to a certain segment or sector.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, any questions from our audience?